Hello aspirants, welcome to another session of the daily newspaper analysis. Firstly, we would like to apologize for the lack of the videos. So what we are going to, there were some issues to be taken care of, technical issues as well as non-technical, as well as I was not keeping well as well. So what we are going to do is in this Sunday's edition that we do, a special video that we do, I'm going to take up all the major articles and the editorials that have come up in this week's newspaper, and we'll do it. Okay, so I'll be covering that, so don't worry about it. So when we look at these issues, so firstly we are going to look at the front page article that has come up. The front page article is a very important article when it comes to your center-state relation as well as cooperative federalism. So here the article says that to boost spending, center releases 1.1 lakh crores to states. Okay, this has been released because under the GST compensation that the states that the center has to pay to the states. Okay, we'll look at that issue as well. Firstly, you have to understand what is tax devolution. Okay, tax devolution here is that comes under Article 280. Tax devolution under Article 280 of the Indian Constitution mentions that it is the distribution of the net proceeds. Net proceeds of what? The total taxes. Okay, all the taxes, that is your GST tax, that is your excise tax that comes on your alcohol and petroleum products. Okay, so all the taxes that is collected, the net out of it has to be distributed between the center and the states. Okay, it has to be distributed in the center and the states, and this formula as to how much of the money is to be distributed and all, it is given by who? It is given by the Finance Commission here. Okay, so under Article 280, Finance Commission is being established by the President, and the Finance Commission at the end of the 5 years of its term, it submits its report to the President. Okay, so here Finance Commission, right now the 15th Finance Commission term has started. This 15th Finance Commission, the term is from 2021-22 to 2025-26, and it is led by who? It is led by under the chairmanship of N.K. Singh. So when we look at the overall distribution, how the money is being distributed, what is the formula used? So the 15th Finance Commission has come up with a new criteria here. The criteria has been population, okay, one of it, population, area, forest and ecology, income distance, demographic performance, tax effort. Okay, so these are the different areas that has been calculated by the Finance Commission to calculate the distribution of the taxes here. So when we look at the recommendation of the 15th Finance Commission, the 15th Finance Commission has asked the center, okay, to give how much? 41% of the total tax collection to the states. Okay, so 41% is being distributed under the 15th Finance Commission report. Coming back to the article here says that the government here has distributed compensation cess. Okay, compensation cess that is in 2-month installment. The compensation cess is given in 2 monthly installment. Okay, so we look at what compensation cess is. Firstly, you have to understand one thing, that is GST. Okay, GST that was introduced in India under the 101st Constitutional Amendment Act. Here, GST was brought in on 1st July of 2017. Okay, so GST is very different than the regular taxes that India had before 2017. Under GST, what it is it is a destination-based tax. Okay, it is a destination-based tax. Means what? Here, who is a consumer? Okay, consumer pays the ultimate tax here, not the manufacturing units. That is what is happening. So what may happen is, if a food is produced in UP, okay, if a food is produced in UP and that food is eaten in Karnataka, so here the Karnataka government, here under the Karnataka rules, the tax is being paid. Okay, here consumption tax is being paid. So UP is at loss here. Okay, it is not getting any tax because since it is manufacturing the good as well, it is not getting any taxes here. So to compensate these losses, okay, so compensate these losses, GST Council decided that they will bring something called as a compensation cess. Okay, what is the use of this compensation cess is that the compensation is being paid in 2 monthly installments for the states. So whatever the losses, like how the example is here, UP is at loss because it is a manufacturing state, but GST is a destination based tax. So GST will be paid under Karnataka here. So here what is going to, because of the losses that the states are facing, the center has brought in compensation cess. This compensation cess is valid for only 5 years. Okay, this compensation cess is valid for 5 years, that is after the GST that was implemented. So this year, that is 2022, is the end of the compensation cess. So recently when this governing council meet of the Niti Aayog was held, here the states have asked the center to extend the duration of the compensation cess. That because of the pandemic period as well as some of the losses that the state governments are facing due to some of the issues, the state governments have ask the center to continue with the compensation cess. So we will look ahead if some decision is taken on this, but this is also important that the Niti Aayog governing council meet that happened recently, you have to understand what is Niti Aayog first. Niti Aayog is a non-constitutional body here. Niti Aayog has a chairman, okay, a chairperson, that is your prime minister, as well as the vice chairperson who is appointed by the prime minister here. Currently the vice chairman is S.S. Berry. Okay, so Niti Aayog is very different than your planning commission. Under Niti Aayog, what is happening is Niti Aayog is a think tank. Okay, it is a think tank, whereas your planning commission was mainly about planning for the planning how to increase the overall growth of a country. Okay, it is a very different than planning commission. So when we look at Team India, okay, so Team India, that is your governing council of Niti Aayog. Okay, governing council of Niti Aayog. Under Team India, who all are included, all the chief ministers, all the administrators, okay, is included, as well as the cabinet ministers, the prime ministers, everyone is included in this Team India. And yearly we have this governing council meet, where this Team India meets to discuss about different issues that our countries are facing, as well as some of the states are facing here. Fine. So we look ahead if any decision is taken related to your GST compensation cess. Then moving on, credibility of UN sanctions regime at all-time low. This is related to recent speech made by the UN envoy from India, that is Ruchira Kamboj. She highlighted the issues when it comes to the UNSC. Okay, that is your UN Security Council. First, you have to understand what UN Security Council is. UN Security Council is a permanent council of it is one of the main body of the United Nations. The UN Security Council is comprising of 10 plus 5 members, where 5 are your permanent members. They are your P5 countries, who are US, UK, Russia, China and France. Okay, so these are the 5 permanent members. What is the special power of these 5 permanent members? Is a veto power. Veto power means that even though if a resolution is being passed by any majority, okay, if it is passed by any majority or anything, the 5 permanent members can use the power of veto power and cancel the legislation. Okay, so this is the special power of the UN Security Council permanent members. So what is the issue? The issue has been relating to the Chinese opposition, because China is a P5 member and it has veto power. So it has been opposing the steps taken by the Indian government here to highlight the cross-border terrorism. Here the article talks about how in 2019 China removed a series of blocks on the list of your Jaish-e-Mohammed chief, that is Masood Azhar, and recently as well when US and India together made a campaign in United Nations, to include LET Deputy Chief Abdul Rahim Makki as well in the terrorism list. This has been cancelled out by the Chinese. So this is the envoy here has been highlighting this issue. She was very vocal about this issue, that China has been taking a back step in announcing some of the cross-border terrorism that has been happening in Pakistan. Fine. So this is a very easy article. I want you all to read this. In the end of the article, one of the important information that is given is that Ms. Kamboj she has announced that India will host a special meeting of the UNSC Counter-Terrorism Committee, okay, CTC, okay, UNSC CTC, okay, UNSC CTC. India is a non-permanent member here, okay, India is a non-permanent member here, that is, it is one of the non-permanent member of the Security Council. The term of India here is 2021 to 2022. Okay, so it is just for 1 year that India has been the member of this Security Council here. Okay, then this is the article which highlights about the CRPC and IPC, specifically talking about the IPC 498A. So here recently our previous president, that is President Kovind, he gave assent to one of the state bill of Maharashtra, of Madhya Pradesh here. Okay, so we look at what is the issue here. The issue is that the bill that was given assent by the president, it made the criminal offense of dowry, harassment, rioting and use of obscene words compoundable offense. Okay, compoundable offense. What do you mean by compoundable offense? Compoundable offense is that even though if the case is running in any courts, the parties who are involved in these two cases can come out and can have what? Compromise. Okay, they can compromise outside the court limits. Okay, so this is what is a compoundable offense. So what the new legislation of the Madhya Pradesh government says is that, so whatever your offenses are there under CRPC relating to rioting, as well as dowry harassment, as well as use of obscene word in public. So all these crimes are now compoundable. That is, the out of the court settlement can be made possible. There are few important things that you have to know here. Firstly is about your CRPC. See, CRPC and IPC both are related to your criminal matters, criminal offences. So these two are in a concurrent list of Schedule 7. That means that both the states as well as the center has the power to amend any of the provisions when it comes to the concurrent list. Okay, so this IPC 498A that we are talking about, this was already section 498A, sorry, of the CRPC that we are talking about. It was already recommended by the Malimat committee that was established under the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government. Here, the recommendation was that such type of offences, that is your dowry harassment, rioting and use of obscene words, these have to be made bailable as well as compoundable offences. Okay, this was already recommended by one of the committees. So now that the Madhya Pradesh government has brought in this legislation, many of the other states can follow up this. There is one more important information given here, that is about the Article 200. Okay, Article 200 says what? That the governor, okay, if he feels that some of the state bill, if it is in conflict, okay, if it is in conflict with any of the provisions related to the center, then the governor can reserve this bill. Excuse me. So the governor can reserve this bill for the president assent. So when such bills are reserved for the president assents, this goes through firstly the Home Ministry. Okay, the Home Ministry has to examine the provisions of such bill, and if he finds that the president assent is needed, he'll forward it for the president for his assent. Okay, so this is the whole process of your Article 200 here. Then this has come in your explain section. Okay, here it is talking about the recently passed Electric Amendment Bill 2022. See, the power sector that we see, the power sector deals with a lot of things, that lot of processes that happens in power transmission. That is, during power transmission there is generation of electricity, then there is transmission of electricity, then there is distribution of electricity that is mainly taken up by the private companies, like you have Eskom, Bescom. Okay, then you have the trading that happens. We have the trading listed. Some of these discoms, they are listed on your Sensex as well. Then we have the use of electricity, the end consumer who has to pay the bill. This is all the process of a power transmission. So when this electric amendment bill that has been introduced here, it is trying to deal with all the provisions that are there, all the processes that are there in power sector here. So this Electricity Act that we have, this was originally passed in 2004. Okay, the original bill was passed in 2004, but since 2004 and starting from 2014, there have been a lot of amendments to this bill. Okay, so the recent amendment has caused a lot of discontent among these labor unions. Okay, some of the state governments like in Punjab have been opposing this. We will look at what is the issue here. The issue is related to two important sections, that is your section 14 as well as section 42. Okay, section 14 decides what? That is the criteria for distributors. Okay, so who should be called a distributor? What should be the component of a distributor? Okay, so what should be the legal constitutionally legally valid definition of a consumer, of a distributor. Okay, so this is all being decided by who now? This all will be decided by the central government. Okay, so this issue has caused a lot of problem here, because when you look at electricity comes under concurrent list. Okay, since it is coming under concurrent list, if center wants to make any changes to this concurrent list, then it has to take the opinion of the states as well. The states were not asked about their opinion when it came to the section 14 of the Electricity Amendment Act. Then the section 42. Okay, section 42 says what? That is operation of the multiple distribution companies, that is multi-licensing, usage of public sector set up power lines. Firstly, what does the amendment to the section 42 says? It says that, see, like how we have in telecommunication, multiple licensing were issued here, and the license holders here, like any private companies, they could use the already established public sector lines, that is BSNL. If it has established any lines, your communication lines, or as well as the optical fiber lines, these could be used by the private sector. Similarly, these changes have been brought in the section 42 of Electricity Amendment Act here. What it is saying is that from now on, if there is any one area, okay, in any area, there can be multiple distributors. The consumers will have a choice to choose whoever provides for cheaper power here. Okay, so that is one of the discontent. Secondly, about the usage of public power setup. See, the public sector here has spent over the years much of its resources in laying down the transmission lines, for electricity transmission lines. Now, if private sector comes here, the private sectors can use this all freely, that the infrastructure that these power sectors have built, they can use it for free. Okay, so this is one of the another issue that has been brought up. So what the response of the Ministry of Power has been here, that this bill that has been introduced in the Parliament, this will be sent to the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Electricity. Okay, the discussions will be done, the recommendations will be taken from these committee, and this committee will be having a membership from both the houses of the parliament, as well as both the ruling party as well as the opposition party can be a member of this. Fine. So these are the issues that have been mentioned. We'll look ahead if some changes are being made to this bill and reintroduced in the parliament again. Fine. So that's it. That's it from today's session. Do follow us on YouTube, Telegram, Facebook, as well as on Instagram. These the next Sunday edition that I told, the next Sunday edition will be about the weekly roundup of all the Hindu editorials. Okay, thank you. See you all.